Good morning, one and all. In today's class, we'll discuss about Unit 1 of Basics of Mechanical Engineering for Civil Engineers. This covers mission elements, introduction to engineering materials, and riveted joints. This is your syllabus. Types of cams and followers, engineering materials, metals, ceramics, composites, heat treatment of metals, riveted joints, methods of failures of riveted joints, strength, equations, efficiency of riveted joints, eccentricity, loaded riveted joints. So let us first know about cam and follower. If you look at the figure, the bottom part here is a cam and the top one is a follower. Cam is always a driving or rotating shaft, and follower will always make a translating motion or a oscillating motion. It means this is a follower which is guided by the rotation of the cam. So here is the definition of cam and follower. The link of cam and follower work are used to transmit the motion from one link to another. A cam is a rotating component in a mechanical linkage that drives the mating component, that is follower. The transmitted motion may be reciprocating, linear, or simple harmonic motion. So this is about the cam and follower, but based on the shape and based on the movements there is some classification in cams and followers. First one is types of cams. Based on the shape, the first one is uh, plate cam. See, in case of plate cam, we'll have a translatory motion. When this cam is rotating, the follower will also move front and back. So this is plate cam, and this is cylindrical cam. Over a cylinder we'll have a groove like this, and the follower will be inside. Now when the cam is rotating, based on the rotation of cam, the motion of follower will also take place. This is a linear cam. In case of linear cam, the motion of follower will be in the groove of the cam, and here also there will be a translatory motion of the follower. So next we have different types of followers. First one is based on the follower's motion. First one is translating, next one is swing arm. Translating is moving up and down or sideways, means straight motion, and swing arm motion is having some swing type, just how we have in watches and all. Next one is based on the follower position, an inline follower and an offset follower. Inline follower and offset. See, if we have some cam and if you have a follower, if the center of the cam is meeting with the axis of the follower, then we call as inline follower. And if the center of the cam is not meeting, it means it is not getting aligned with the axis of the follower, then we call it as offline follower. Next one is based on the follower shape. If we have a sharp edge like this, then we call it as knife edge follower. And if you have a roller like this, then we call it as roller follower. And if you had flat faces like this, then we call it as flat faced follower. And if you have some spherical shape like this, then we call it as spherical faced follower. So this is based on the shape of the follower. Next one is engineering materials. Engineering materials are classified as metallic and non-metallic, and this metallic are again classified as ferrous and non-ferrous. Wherever we have wherever we have iron content in it, then there we call it as ferrous, and where we don't have iron content, then those things we call it as non-ferrous. And here also, if the percentage of iron is less than 1.5%, then we call it as steels, and if it is more than 1.5%, then we call it as cast irons. Now based depending upon the percentage of carbon, we have different classifications like this: plain carbon, alloy carbon, gray cast iron, white cast iron, malleable cast iron, ductile, and all. Next is non-ferrous. In case of non-ferrous, you don't have any iron content in it, like aluminium, copper, magnesium, tin, zinc, lead, nickel, and other alloys. Similarly, this is about metals. We have few non-metals like organic and inorganic. Mineral, cement, glass, ceramic, etc. will come under inorganic, and plastic, wood, paper, whatever the things we get naturally, these are organics. So now here we are going to learn about few of these metals. First one is, as I told you, if the percentage of carbon is less than 1.5, we call it as steels, and if percentage of carbon is more than 1.5, then we call it as cast iron. Now we have different types of ceramics also. Let us look at the definition of ceramic. A ceramic is a solid material comprising an inorganic compound of metal, non-metal, or ionic and covalent bonds. So here simply the example for ceramic is whatever the ceramic plates we are using in our dining set, or else the pots which we are using at home. So all the things which are easily breakable and made with sand or clay are ceramics. And now see, earthenware, it means pots which we are making are will come under earthenware, and the dinner sets which we are using in our at homes is called procleane. So these are two types of ceramics we have. Next one is composite material. Composite material is combination of few more materials. Like for example, if we take cement, concrete, and sand. Cement will have different properties, concrete will have different properties, and sand will have some different properties. The combination of cement, concrete, and sand will give us a strength, a material which has good strength. So this is composite. Composite is a material which have the properties of the materials which we are adding. Additionally, we get some more properties which we require. So here is the definition of composite material. A composite material is a material made from two or more constituent materials with significantly different physical or chemical properties. When combined, produce a material with characteristics different from the individual component. So here sand will have a different property, concrete will have a different property, cement will have a different property. The combination of these three things will give us a material which is stronger. So like this, in case of aerospace space applications, or wherever you have to need with high pressure or high temperature, or wherever we need to withstand high forces, so depending on our requirement we combine few materials to get good strength. So that is about composite material. Next one is annealing. Annealing is uh, s- uh, general heat treatment is first heating the material to certain temperature and then cooling it. Now depending upon the way we are cooling, the name varies. Now if we are cooling it slowly to room temperature, then we call it as annealing. Normalizing is a controlled cooling. It means we'll have some controlled parameters and we'll control the rate of cooling, and that cooling will be from the side which we require. So that is called normalizing. Hardening is sudden quenching. Sudden quenching in the sense we heat it to the temperature we require and we suddenly drop the component into a water or liquid, means or oil, and we cool it suddenly so that it becomes hard. That is called quenching. But quenching can't be make, means any heat treatment can't be make for every material. Depending upon the material we have to choose the heat treatment. For example, if we go for quenching of glass, if you heat glass to some extent and if you suddenly drop it into oil or water, because of quenching the glass will break. So these heat treatments are not suitable for every material. Depending upon the material which we are choosing, we have to choose the type of heat treatment. Next one is carburizing. Carburizing is heat treating in presence of carbon, so that the carbon particles will come and get accumulated into the metal which we have. As a result, the strength of the metal will increase. That is carburizing. Next one is nitrating. Nitrating is just how we are heating in presence of carbon. Here we'll heat in presence of nitrogen, and all the nitrogen particles will come and get accumulated over the metal which we are heating, and it will increase the strength of the material. So like this, these are the different types of heat treatments. Next one is riveted joints. We have two types of joints. First is permanent joint. Next one is temporary joint. Permanent joint is once we make the joint, and if we want to remove the material, it means once we join and if we want to separate the parts, then we have to break any one of thing. It means we have to destroy something and we have to remove the joint. Such joints are called permanent joints. Riveted joint, welding, and all these things will come under permanent joints. And temporary joint is nut and screw system. It means if you want to join, you can join, and later if you want to remove it, you can remove it. So like this, wherever you can remove and you can make again, such joints are called as temporary joints. So here riveted joint is a permanent joint. We have different types of rivet joints, and generally this is the rivet joint which we use. The top part is called as head, and this is called body, and this is the tail part. Now the diameter of the rivet joint will depend upon the thickness of plate which we are taking. If these two are the plates, it means these two are the plates which you want to join. This is the backup die which has a design over here. So this head will be placed in this die, and this is a forming die. So when we place this rivet into it, we beat it with the forming die, we hammer it, and we see that the tail will get deformed in the shape which you have in the die. So this is about riveted joint. Next we have some terms which we use in this riveted joints. Let us look at that. First one is margin. Next, instead of reading this, I'll show you the figure and I'll explain you the terms which are here. Okay, chain riveting, zigzag riveting, row pitch and diagonal pitch. Let me first show you the figure, and then we'll come back to the formulas which are present in this slide. So here we have two types of riveted joints, lap joint and butt joint. Lap joint is if one sheet or one plate is getting overlapped over other plate, then we call it as lap joint. And if two plates are joining sidewards, then we call it as butt joint. So here whatever you are finding here in the figure is a butt joint. See, this is the plate and this is another plate. These two plates are getting joined, and over this we are placing another strap. Okay, this is butt joint. So now these straps can be two types, single strap or double strap. If means a single strap is if we place only one sheet over this plate, then we call it a single strap, and if we are placing one above and one below, then we call it as double strap. As you have only one plate over this is called single strap, and this is a butt joint. So here the distance from the edge of the rivet, or here the distance of edge of the rivet to the axis of the rivet is called its margin, and the distance between both the rivets is called its pitch. And now the distance between this rivet to this rivet is called its diagonal pitch. And now if we are having only one strap, then we take T1. T1 is 1.125 into T, where T is the thickness of the plate. And if we are using two, it means one plate at the top and one plate at the bottom, then we consider T2. It means 0.75 into its T. It means T1, T2 at the top and T2 at the bottom. So now let us go back to the definitions here. So here the formula for margin, you see, margin, it is the distance from the edge of the plate to the center of nearest rivet. This is the edge and this is the center, and the distance is 1.5 D. Is 1.5 D. Next one is chain riveting, zigzag riveting. See here you have arranged this in line. So this is a chain riveting. Okay, this is a chain riveting. Now if you have two rivets like this, and if there is another rivet in middle, then we call it as zigzag riveting. Okay, in case of chain riveting, the distance between this row and this row will be more, but in case of zigzag riveting, you can reduce the distance. Next one is row pitch. It is a distance between two adjacent rows of rivets. It is denoted by PR. PR equals to 0.8 P for chain riveting and 0.6 P for zigzag riveting. This is row. So here the distance from this rivet to this rivet is 0.8 P, where P is the pitch of the rivet. Pitch is the distance from this rivet to this rivet. And now in case of zigzag riveting, it means if there one rivet is here and if one rivet is here, then here in this case we consider this as 0.6 P, where again P is the pitch. It means the distance between these 2 points. Next one is diagonal pitch, PD. So the diagonal pitch is the distance between this rivet and this rivet. It means the here in case of row, this rivet and this rivet. So that is about the diagonal pitch. So these are the different types of rivets. Next one is caulking and fullering. Once we make riveting, what happens is there will be some gap left either at the top or in middle somewhere. So now if we use riveting for boilers or pressure vessels, there if we have gaps like this, because of the gaps, the pressure of the pressure will come out, or else the gases will come out, or high pressure liquids will come out. In order to avoid this, we go for the operation called as caulking or fullering. So here in caulking and fullering are almost similar operations. The only difference is in case of caulking, we'll have a tool which has a shorter area at the tip, but in case of fullering, the width of this fullering tool will be equal to the width of the tool. So now it will just beat here over the plate and will close the joints. So here also will close the joint so that the material will not come out. It means the pressured air or pressured gas will not come out. So here are the different types of joints: lap joint, butt joint, single riveted lap joint, double riveted joint, chain riveted, zigzag riveted, and diamond riveted. As I told in the previous slides, lap joint is if one plate overlaps over the other plate. So here what you are finding here is a lap joint, and here joining of two plates in sideward direction is called as butt joint. Even if it is a lap joint or butt joint, it can be single riveted, double riveted, chain riveted, zigzag riveted, and diamond riveted. Single riveted is if you have only one row of rivets, then we call it as single riveted joint. And if we have two rows of rivets, then we call it as double riveted joints. And chain riveted is if you have n number of rivets arranged like this parallelly, then we call it as chain riveted joints. And if another rivet is present in between these two rivets in another row, then we call it a zigzag. And speaking about diamond riveted joint, for example, if we have 5 in this row, 4 in next row, 3 in another row, 2 in another row, and 1 in another row, if the rivets are arranged like this in a diamond shape, then we call it as diamond riveted joint. So here are some failures which we see in the rivets. First one is tensile failure in the parental material. Uh, See, this is a tensile failure. It means, see, it is getting cracked like this. Next one is shear out. It means the rivet coming out. Next one is cleavage. It means it is getting cracked like this. Next one is rivet shear. It means rivet itself will get braked. And next one is pull out. It means the hole will become enlarged and rivet will come out. So these are the different types of rivet failures which we have. Uh, yeah, next, tearing of plate at the edges. The joint may fail due to tearing of plate at the edges, and this can be avoided by keeping the margin m equals to 1.5d. As I told you in the previous slide, we have to maintain a proper margin. If not, the rivet will come out. Here d indicates the diameter of the rivet, and diameter of the rivet will depend upon the thickness of the plate which we are taking. And next one is steering of the plate across the row of rivets like this. This happens due to tensile stress in the main plate. The main plate or cover plate may tear off across the row of rivets. So if it is getting teared off like this, then we call it as tearing across the row of the rivets. Next, shearing of the rivets. If rivet is breaking, then we call it a shearing of rivet. So this is the lap joint, and this is butt joint. This is also butt joint. This is a lap joint. This is single strap butt joint, and this is double strap butt joint. So these are the different types of butt joints. Next one is crushing. Crushing is the rivet coming out from the plates. Next, the efficiency of the rivet. The efficiency of the rivet depends upon the strength of the plates before getting riveted and the strength of the plate after getting riveted. So here is the formula: strength of riveted joint by strength of plate. So this video lecture will cover the first unit of your basics of mechanical engineering. So please look at the syllabus again. Cams, types of cams and followers, metals, ceramics, composites, heat treatment of metals, methods of failure of riveted joints, strength equations, efficiency of the riveted joints, eccentricity, loaded riveted joints. So these topics we have covered in this slide. Thank you for listening.